Hey guys, it's NardoKB8000 and we're gonna be playing this game called Her Lie I Tried to Believe in and What the Balls? Okay, Hungover Cat. Disclaimer, this game may contains disturbing subject matters and may not be suited for anybody, and if you're an emotionally sensitive person, you may not want to go through this playing this game. Uh, I'm not that sensitive. I'm just sensitive to anger. I have anger issues. Oh god, copyright. But that, I mean, if I played in the background, will they if I get, I don't need, I'm not even getting money from these videos. Why do I even care? Keep it at a decent volume. Not gonna blast your ears off with it. Unlike my voice! Kill you real quick. I don't think you understand that, man. Mate, I don't think you understand that. Like, literally, I'll kill you with my voice. And I wouldn't care. Because that's what you guys came here for. But, oh. That's interesting music. Let's try this. Let's, start. I wonder why I didn't notice at the time the meaning behind all this. Okay. Now that I understand it, I can declare with certainty that my life would have been completely different if I had seen through it sooner. Was I too insensitive, or maybe I simply wished I didn't really understand? Did I bang a girl accidentally? Maybe you will see the truth where I couldn't. So I'm gonna go play through someone's life because they did something wrong. It all started in elementary school. Not middle school, nor high school, but elementary school. Just to tell you how long she's been tormenting me. Oh, yes, it's a girl. It's always been a girl, isn't? Couldn't have been a rivalry between boys. No, it needed to be a girl. No, most men problems. Fuck. There's no predetermined time to mark when exactly this happened. It just kind of turned out this way, I guess. The moment I laid my eyes on her, I knew I would hate her. She was tall. Well, not tall, but still taller than me back then. You know how it goes. Her hair is not very long, boyish. Would probably be a good way to define her, but again, this was such a surprise during that time. Her strengths must have been similar to mine, even. Her features resembled most of the girls. She wasn't special, that's for sure. She had brown eyes, black hair, cute little girl, and stopped at that. Just that. Yet, there was one thing, only one simple thing, that separated her from the rest of those pure girls. Her eyes. Oh. Saw that flash? She kind of looked like she had hatred. There's something, and I'm not talking about a twinkle or anything of that sort. I'm talking about something darker, something that doesn't belong to a kid, but she hid it, or at least she tried. And it worked with most people, but not with me, cause I'm me. I wonder if she saw the same thing in my eyes. Maybe that's why I felt so much contempt for her. Maybe that's why she answered with that contempt with some unknown feelings of her own. I don't know how it happened. Did she provoke me first? Or was I the one pushing that conception as the sole intent of our relationship? The fact that we were rivals. I think it started because she was beating me at running. She was beating me at everything, pretty much me at pretty much everything, really. But I think running was something more perceivable. That's why I felt it was weighing so much more on my mind. To be beaten by a girl. It wasn't that she had a talent for running or whatever. It was simply that I was mediocre. And it would have been alright with me if it weren't for that smile. That smile always teasing me so brightly, so... And it wasn't that compelling either. I mean, more often than not, she would be missing some teeth due to growth, so... But again, I don't fully remember why she started doing this, but every time she finished performing a race during PE, she would always look at me with that smile and say... But again... Oh. Better luck next time, Tim. For me, it was the greatest insult. For a boy who tries to distinguish himself from the others, an environment such as an elementary school to be beaten and laughed at by a girl. There's no way I wouldn't take it personally, so I made it kind of my life mission to beat her at every opportunity I'd get. But sadly, for me, I was just an average guy. While she was an average girl, she was still slightly better than I was. I think for her it was simply a game. Something to put a smile on her face, just to feel proud about. Seeing me fail and looking so irritated by the fact she might have thought I was also amusing myself somehow. It was only when winter came that she understood the depths of my feelings. We were playing King of the Hill on a snow mountain with a couple kids. I said we, but we weren't friends or even acquainted with one another. We knew each other's names. That was it. Maybe it made even more of an impact because of this. Because no one was really playing aggressively. We were just kind of pushing each other out of the top of the mountain to claim it as our own. When I saw her, that girl climb to the top of the mountain, try to take even this fleeting achievement from me, just kind of snapped. I remember, this is mine. You won't take it away from me. She didn't. She didn't because I grabbed her with all my strength and threw her to the bottom of the mountain, directly on the hard ground. It must have hurt. Must have hurt really bad. But my thoughts weren't there. I was completely euphoric with that deal that I protected what was mine. That was finally beating her or something. I guess our strengths were really no match after all. The kids were all regrouping themselves around her for some reason. I finally understood I did something I shouldn't have. Their glares at me told me so. Yeah, I didn't feel bad. I mean, this girl has been tormenting me way more than this. But they didn't know. How could they know? Finally, this girl, Cassandra, got up painfully from the ground. She didn't cry. She didn't stir up compassion from her. No, she simply looked at me. She looked at me with those eyes. That's when I knew she finally understood what I would feel. That's when I knew she finally started hating me. She became serious. That rivalry I thought we had was nothing more than normality for her. So by seriously trying to beat me at everything, she became one of the best students in class. I could say this stupid shit like I wanted her to become this way because I knew she was faking to be someone else. But that's clearly not the case. The only reason I ever had in wanting to crush her were simply juvenile and immature ones at best. I don't think she was fake, but before by any stretch of the imagination. I just think that she had that much potential. Sure, I also became more better because of the fact, but she always had the last word in the end. And her smile changed too. There was no longer this faint warmth emanating from me. It was cold, like there was this one thing that I thought I had once seen in her eyes. She finally looked at me the way I always looked at her. I guess I opened her eyes and she then saw me for who I truly was. I didn't feel bad about it. At least I thought I didn't. If I had an emotion back then, I was probably numbed by this excruciating feeling of being humiliated. Oh, she stopped saying her usual line when beating me. She continued to say something, all right. But it was no longer that line. Instead, she would say something like, are you even trying? She would say it often as she could. It was no longer simply when we were running against each other, but also during academics reports. Even during luck-influenced games, my elementary school life ended with an extremely bitter aftertaste. I became the laughingstock of my class. I somehow helped Cassandra become even better than she already was. A complete defeat indeed, but there would be other chances for me to prove my worth. I knew there would be. A chance to crush her, that is. Middle school brought some changes with it. Well, this is a long backstory. Just the fact that he just hates her because she was better. It's like, that's dumb. It's dumb. Oh, I guess we're going to middle school. Yep. Middle school brought some changes with it. Well, not right away, but in the second part of the first year for sure. I became taller, or maybe she became smaller. I don't know. So she was the sole thing I ever set my eyes on. She became my reference when it comes to any kind of physical change. I could hardly believe it, yet it was something anyone could have predicted. Me becoming taller than her? For some unknown reason, we still ended up in the same class. We had somehow chosen the same object. Disgustingly enough, our hatred towards each other was still very real. So it was like we only picked things up from where we left them during elementary school. Her hair was no longer started little by little to take up shapes, which made her body no longer regard to was one of the kids anymore. Even I could see how beautiful she was becoming. Yet I was still repulsed by her. Likewise, I changed in drastic fashion. I became taller. I gained some mass along the way. Again, I was very much an average guy, but I still tried my best to keep my body in shape in order to eventually win against her. And that paid off. Or maybe it was just the direct result of those apparent changes, but in any case, I finally started having the upper hands at her. At least during PE, other physical competitions, I was no longer chasing her. She was now chasing me. Can you at least show me a bit of determination? That was my line. What a joke, really. Couldn't even think of anything clever to say, so just stole her line and made it my own. And I would stop at that. I wanted my back to be as far in front of her as I possibly could. So I decided to start playing basketball to build up stamina, keep my body in shape. In no time, I became somewhat popular, and I don't think I was any good, really. My old team was just that bad. That's all, and anyways, popularity didn't interest me. My eyes were still locked on her all this time. Sure, I played the card for the cool kid, thinking to enjoy everyone else's eyes on me. But it was just another way to get back at her. Cassandra, just her name makes me shudder. She was popular in elementary school, but now she was kind of distant, solitary. Didn't look at me, and acknowledged my existence. It was how I thought, but every time I looked at her way, she never looked at mine. I came to realize she had lost all interest in our rivalry. It was only natural. I mean, she no longer had any chance when it comes to physical performances. So I decided it was time to change my gears. If I want to take everything away from her, I would need to build up not only my body, but my mind too. That bitch is ignoring me like that. I'll show her how much you made me suffer. Holy shit. This guy's like not just bagging her over the fact that she was better in elementary school. This kid is, oh my god. It took me a long time to better my academic results. A long time indeed. It was all but natural to me so. In the end, I had no other choice. No other choice but to drop the basketball team in order to focus on my studies. The 2 years of middle school ended. She was still always one step ahead in front of me. One day to the next, she would stop teasing me, or even looking proud of what she accomplished. The glimpse of darkness that I once saw in her eyes was now the only thing persisting to go throughout her features. High school finally came, but luck was not on my side. Around that time, we no longer had any classes in common. Luck? Wonder why I looked at it that way. Probably because tormenting her gave me so much satisfaction. Didn't matter though. I could still compete with her in midterm exams and the likes. All I needed was to keep on studying until I felt completely satisfied with my results. My popularity had finally degraded almost to the point of being called inexistent. Yet there were still some girls confessed to me from time to time. Every time I would turn them down though. If I had time messing around with girls, I probably had time to study even longer than I already was. At least that's how I try to keep myself focused. So, you understand, I felt pretty stupid when I first saw her with the boy. Until then, she didn't seem to show any interest in the opposite sex. I wonder why it changed all of a sudden now. She was sure quite good looking. She would look a lot more feminine than when she was younger. No wonder she became popular with the boys. But with how long I've been watching her, I couldn't think of it any other way. Why now of all times? I was mad. I was disappointed. I felt humiliated. So does that mean that she doesn't need to study it as much as I do to beat me? Is that what she's trying to say? This made me put even more effort on my studies. There's no way I'm going to end up that way. I want it to be this time. I was sure I would crush her during our next midterms. So you can imagine my surprise when I actually did. The grades of the top 50 were displayed on a paper sheet in the main hall of our school. Normally she would be in top 5 while I'd be in the top 10. But this time it was reversed. How could this be? I was angry. I should have been happy. I wasn't. How could I be? This wasn't supposed to be the way this way. There were so many large margins between the two of us. This was impossible. I remember that right then and there I looked around me, really pissed off. That's when our eyes met. For the first time in at least a year and a half, our eyes met with each other. Mine were extremely cold, hers were passionate as ever. And if she never changed during all this year, she even smiled at me, disgustingly so. I walked in a direction, unable to keep my cool. I'm like 15 minutes in, Jesus Christ. This is a long epilogue if this is. I walked in a direction, unable to keep my cool. Tim, what's wrong with you? Blurted out as if there's intimacy in our relationship, when in reality it was the first time I spoke to her since middle school. Oh, Excuse me? She said to me, trying to look clueless at the reason for forcibly approaching. What a great actress she was. As if it just doesn't know the reason for me to be all worked up. Is this because of your new boyfriend? Is this jealousy I hear? I need to come up with ways for her. She's doing this on purpose. Don't fuck with me. I take a hold of her collar aggressively, look her directly in the eyes. I hear the others talking as though I'm about to hit her, something they almost scared of what I might do, yet she doesn't look scared at all. She reciprocates my stare and waits for my words. What is it with your grades, eh? Are you not taking it seriously anymore? Now that you have a boyfriend, is that it? My grade? So you came to talk to me because my grade? Her eyes became stern. The inoffensive smile that she had once on her face disappeared viciously. Tell me, why is it? Why is she changing all of a sudden? This shouldn't happen. What? Why would you ask? I don't know. It just ended up that way. That's all. Don't give me that shit. I know you. You know what? She pushed upon hearing my words, a lost hold on her, and directed result. You know nothing, Tim. You. Whatever. You better get your act together next time, or else Else what? Guy closed in on us. Put his hand on her shoulder in a warning kind of fashion. If this guy causing trouble for you, Cass? Shook my hand off of me. Walked away without looking back. I'll show you next time who's the best between both of us. You better prepare yourself. I think she said something back to me, but I didn't hear it. I was too extremely frustrated by her attitude to see anything around me. People probably looked at me the wrong way, but it didn't matter to me. He's obsessed. As if everything I've been doing has no value. As if I was ever the only one seeing ourselves as rivals. But this should be okay now. By confronting her like this, I gave her a little push. That's all she needed. Her pride will come up on top in the end. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose her. To lose to her. I'll show her. Just you wait, Cassandra. How stupid I was, not understanding that the person I thought I hated the most was also the one I needed most. Is this what we call irony? I had studied for the past 3 years on a multitude of subjects, yet I was extremely clueless to one to be the natural things surrounding my life. It was only on my next exam week that I finally realized the obvious flaw in my way of perceiving the world. I was so sure of myself, for what I was, that there was nothing else occupying my mind during all those weeks of self-study in cram school. I'll beat her fair and square. Last time was in a fair fight. She purposely neglected her studies for something as stupid as love. But now it will be different. I guess it'll probably be because of my obsession with my studies. I had yet to notice something so important, something that I shouldn't have missed. In front of the piece of paper which numbered the best of students, I was searching frantically for a madman for something that definitely was supposed to be there. Not there, not even there. What the fuck? That's impossible. She must have changed her name or something. This can't be happening. But no matter how many times I looked at it, I was forced to conclude the same thing over and over again. She wasn't here. She wasn't in the top 50. That may be ridiculously enough. She had skipped a year somehow, even though we were in the middle of the semester, but she wasn't in the top of the third years either. How could that be? Directly to the ones in charge of the stupid list. They probably had mistaken useless as they were. There must be something preposterous, something so fucking ridiculous. I had no other choice but to snap back at them, insult lots of them. They told me with the most serious tone that she had quit out of school a month and a half ago. A fucking month and a half ago. So while I was uselessly, obsessively, foolishly trying the best I could to pass this girl that thought I was equal, she was messing around, probably with boys or whatever. She didn't think of even worth the effort. She probably thought she could already have everything in life since she was so fucking good. She left me here like a fool, lingering with the fucking feelings left in my throat. Just doesn't want to disappear. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to believe it, but it was the truth nonetheless. I was so fucking blind to see it coming. That was all. Fuck! That bitch, she won even though I was sure of winning. This hopeless feeling I was so eager to give her was now stuck within me, unable to get rid of it. She was no longer someone I could go head with, since she had given up entirely. I asked for the reason for her departure, and they told me it was a personal reason. It probably had something to do with her family or whatever. But I knew it wasn't fucking bullshit. It was probably her going back at me, knowing that I was finally going to beat her. She just ended up quitting to make sure it never happened. But then I had a revelation. What if I decided to wait for another year? Yeah, that would be a great year. Just purposely failing then. Then I realized I was top two, and was pretty much sure of passing. This was over. I had lost one thing that was keeping me going for a time. I seriously wondered what I was going to do with my life now that I lost all my interest. But eventually it didn't matter all that much. Since I had done this for a good part of my youth, I couldn't easily stop. So I just continued studying my best I could, with emptiness as my sole source of motivation. High school came to an end extremely quickly. The last day of school, I looked around me, saw a lot of students happily chatting together, probably feeling proud of themselves. Some had boyfriends and girlfriends at their sides, their arms around each other, as though the world no longer had any secrets to them. I was the best of the class, one of the best of the whole school, and yet I knew nothing. I felt hollow. I was already going to the top university. I could see my future without anyone telling me, yet I had lost something. By becoming who I am, I know this. Since I'm not one of them, I don't know what that is. That was a fucking chapter? Hold up a fucking minute. Holy shit. I fucking hell. I need a break. I'll be your B. I'll come record this. This is actually pretty interesting, but wow. So beginning years of his life, he was concentrated on one girl, and that one girl left. Ooh, that must hurt. Damn. Holy crap. Guys, this is serious. That's a serious obsession. Nobody should ever get obsessed this way. If you're ever obsessed like this, just talk to a friend or something. Get to know someone else. Someone probably your year knows you. Holy crap. Well, I'm gonna leave for a little while and come back later, but I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.